This is the Hockey Podcast Network, your home for hockey talk on every team in the NHL.
Welcome to Offside by a Mile, the podcast for anything and everything Colorado Avalanche, and the official Avs podcast for the Hockey Podcast Network. Well, another episode of the Offside by a Mile podcast coming at you today. I guess Jared and I, as usual, our hosts. I don't think I said that last week because rookie move.
Just getting back into the groove of things, you know.
We have to talk about the biggest news in the NHL this week. Clearly, right off the bat, Cale Makar is healthy and was practicing on Saturday and is flying to Edmonton. No problem.
Yes,
Life is good.
Yes. Good.
Clearly, that was the most talked about thing in the entire NHL this week.
100%.
Duh. The real biggest news of the week was the Seattle Kraken announcing their name.
Name and jersey and logo.
And man, I don't mind the logo.
I like the logo.
I think the name is kind of shitty. I'm not gonna go like hockey troll on this one where he's like willing to cut off a leg. It seems like to say how bad he hates the Kraken name. I think the reason I don't like it is because from the moment Seattle was awarded an NHL team, that was like the front-running name the whole time.
I feel like that's why I'm okay with it at this point, because I've already made peace with that name.
It's also going to be an answer to one of the NHL trivia questions about team names. I believe they're the fourth team in the NHL without a plural name. Avalanche being one of them.
Right.
Just
Colorado Avalanches.
That's also kind of weird. Like it's always kind of weird when the name's not plural, just because like 85% of the league is plural.
Yeah. Well, and then it goes from he's a flame. He with the flames, but this flame.
Yeah.
Now it's like,
he's a Kraken.
This Kraken.
Wait, what?
Of the Kraken.
Yeah, you have to say things different. Did you see the tattoo? The guy that got a tattoo the moment they released the name?
Right. Yeah, I saw something about
that.
Dude,
that fucking tattoo should have been the logo. That thing is
right.
Sick.
With the S built into the anchor with the Space Needle on top.
Oh my god, that's nice.
Dude, that is sick. That is sick.
So good.
Yeah.
It might have been a little much on a jersey as a logo, maybe. But
maybe
god,
a little busy, but
God,
man, honestly, yeah, I agree. I like how they did the anchor and they have that Space Needle. That's a really cool shoulder logo too. I like that.
The minute and a half video thing to release was awful.
Yeah. It was a thing.
It was just we're going to show you the port, and then we're going to show you a boat, and then we're going to show you the city, and then we're going to show you a port again, and then we're going to show you the water, and then we're going to show you the port again, and then we're going to show you the water, and then we're going to show you the port, and then we're going to show you the cool logo. It's you could have just showed us the cool logo, because the rest of it was useless. How else are you going to start a team and show off? I know I'm just joking, but
yeah,
you have to have some sort of video, but most of it, I showed it to my wife and I'm like, watch, just wait. She's like, what the fuck am I watching? I'm like, just watch. And she's like, wow, that was a waste of my time.
Minute and a half of my life will never get back.
I do like the logo. I like the S. I like the little tentacle and the eye and stuff. We kind of talked about it off, I don't know, when they released it. The jerseys they'll probably be kind of like the Golden Knights one where they grow on me. But there's just one too many colors, I find.
Yeah, we were talking a lot about that. Just the sleeves and the two-tone blue on top of already darker blue.
I was thinking about it. What I would have liked, and maybe it's a Leafs thing or what, I don't know, but like for the stripe on the arm, rather than two-toning it with the light blue and the light and the lighter blue, they should have just picked one blue and done two small stripes. I know a lot of teams do it that way, but I think it would have looked nicer and less busy than an extra color. Like, yeah, I understand that the logo has the darker light blue, but it's like a shade, right? It's not necessarily like
it's not like a prominent.
Yeah. The way I kind of compared it to was like Vegas, right? They're gray. Their base color is either gray or white, and then they've got the black, the gold, and then they add the freaking red.
Yeah.
That is nowhere in their color scheme except for on the jersey, which is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the red is actually on the logo for Seattle, and I think the red pinstripes on the jersey looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think it does look really nice.
I agree with that. I think that's a cool little touch.
But it's the extra blue. They're just like, man, I don't know why you guys had to add that.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, in the grand scheme of things, and I guess I was kind of listening to some other radio, and they're like, it screams expansion team. Like, you think about, like, Minnesota when they came in the league, Columbus especially when they came in the league. Like, they had some jerseys that were like, we're here. Like, these are our jerseys. We're not copying them from anybody else.
Yeah.
So, the one thing I will give them credit for is they didn't go with, like, Seahawks green or something, like, super cheesy Seattle.
Which I honestly wouldn't have been surprised if they did something like that. Which is good, though. Yeah, I agree. You know, they kind of took a different direction. And, you know, I'm sure moving forward that'll get modernized, you know, a lot more over the next, like, even 3 years, right? That jersey will probably change.
Yeah.
Overall, though, you know, I think the jersey design itself is pretty nice, you know?
Yeah.
It's pretty nice. And, yeah, sweet.
Not my
32nd NHL team, baby.
Not my favorite. That was good, too. I saw it on Twitter, the original 32. The hashtag was trending and stuff, which is funny. I really like
30 years from now, there's just like 54 teams.
Yeah. The original 32 way back when Seattle joined the league. 2020.
NHL, I think we can end it there. We're at the perfect number now, 16 a conference.
Unless we develop time travel and teleportation and we go to Europe and stuff, I think this is it.
Get some Swiss teams in there, some Finnish teams. Yeah.
I think 32 is good.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm interested to see the shift and how divisions change. Like, obviously, it's not going to go crazy. I'm sure it's just Arizona's going to move over to Central, but I'm just interested to see the dynamic change a bit with Seattle.
Honestly, thank God that Arizona's moving over there. We always freaking mix that up, dude.
I know.
Like, all the time.
I'm ready for it to happen.
How are you a Pacific team?
Yeah.
It's like the Red Wings, you know, back.
Yeah. Like, what?
They're in their proper place now. Let's get everybody else in their proper place.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's time to be excited about Seattle and the expansion draft and stuff. Thank fuck the expansion draft's not happening
this year,
this summer.
Oh man,
unquote,
could you imagine? Yeah, that'll be a big topic for like the whole next season. It's you know, as we went through with Vegas, how big of a thing that was.
Not only next season, but this summer, I think, or this off season now.
Yeah, this fall,
because like players are gonna get signed with the intention of exposing them to the draft, like the expansion draft and stuff like that, right? So
yeah, a lot more implications
when it comes to off season,
and
it's now more real. I don't know. I know it's been shared a bit before, but the in arena tease of like the Climate Pledge Arena and stuff like that, the double video board thing.
Oh right, yeah. I don't
know,
Jumbotron
man.
Situation. Interesting.
Like, it must be something to do with the ceiling being lower than a normal NHL arena or whatever. Because, like, look at, again, the Pepsi Center's like this, but, like, a lot of arenas that are going with a more modern screen, they're becoming wider and bigger and all this, you know, usual stuff. And then Climate Pledge Arena's like, actually, we're going to go with 3 triangles.
Yeah.
What?
I know it would be interesting to go watch a game there and really experience, you know, what kind of angles that's gonna open up, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
For the crowd to see. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, like the triangle screen itself is just like, what? the hell?
Yeah,
are you just trying to be different, or? Did Jeff have a hand in this? Like, just make everything an A or something.
Yeah, there you go. Well, yeah, because it's kind of weird. Because like you go to most arenas, if you sit on the red line, you have the best view of the biggest side of the screen.
Right.
Now at Climate Pledge, if you sit at the red line, you get the worst view of the screen.
Shit, I gotta turn my head.
A, turn my head, and B, it's not even like angled towards me. This is weird.
Yeah.
Right. It's just kind of odd. I'm sure it'll be things you get used to, but it's just one of those. It's different, so it's weird. I don't know.
Very unique for sure.
But again, welcome to the Kraken, and I mean, at least they picked a badass thing to be their mascot.
Oh, did they pick a mascot already?
No, but I mean, like,
opportunities.
At least they're not the Maple Leafs. Very scary Maple Leafs. Yeah. At least the Avalanches are scary.
Avalanches. Yeah, I mean, they could make a pretty badass mascot.
Also,
for sure.
Somebody pointed out the fact that, like you can actually throw an octopus on the ice in Seattle and it'll make sense, opposed to Detroit.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, it's cool. It's about time that they announced it. We've all been waiting for it, so it was huge. Good timing, I think, too. I mean, they've had 3 months to fill empty NHL airspace, so at least they figured out to do it before hockey started.
Yeah. Get everybody jacked up a little bit more, too. I don't know. But yeah, interesting.
I guess one of the other things, it's 4 days. 3 days. I guess when 2.5-ish when this airs, to the Minnesota Wild Colorado Avalanche exhibition game.
Hell yeah.
Which, fuck yes.
Yeah, that'll be 12:30 on Wednesday for all of us in the Mountain Time zone, Pretty stoked, man. I mean, we kind of talked about this, I guess, already, but it's a ideal, I think, opponent for our exhibition game. Little bit of a rivalry there. Get the emotion going,
Yeah.
And obviously, both these teams want to come in here and get the wheels going, get the juices flowing. That rhymed. Holy shit. I should write a song about this. But yeah, I mean, pretty stoked, man. We got so much hockey coming up. All starts on Tuesday, which is tomorrow for everybody listening to this episode. And also, which is just sweet. First game to start it off is the Penguins and the Flyers. Hell yeah. Like, let's go. Which makes me also think about, shit, this could have been a fucking series. And same with the game later on that night. Oilers and Flames were like, shit, we talked about that so much near the end or before the pause. Like, oh man, we got some good fucking series possibly brewing up this year.
It's also a stark contrast compared to the NBA, who's already started exhibition games and all that stuff. Their tournament, or whatever they're calling it, their playoffs, their return to play, starts on the 30th, which is Thursday. Yeah. But they've already started, and they're calling their exhibition games scrimmages, which is weird.
Yeah.
First of all, it's not a scrimmage, but they're also really random. Like, the NHL went rivalries for their exhibition games.
Super smart.
Which I think is smart, because it's going to make people actually watch the exhibition games. But, like, I was watching I saw ads for the Raptors game today, or I think it's today, against, like, the Phoenix Suns. And it's just like, who the fuck wants to watch that?
Yeah.
Not that these are going to be great hockey games. Like, they're still exhibition games, and I get that. But it still makes me want to tune into the Pittsburgh Penguins play the Philadelphia Flyers.
Right. Exactly. And that's how you started off with a bang, too. Like, all three of the Maple Leafs and Canadians, too, man. Like,
yeah.
Who doesn't want to watch that game? Like, you could put that on any time of the year, and I'll watch that game.
Yeah. Right? It was just very odd.
Yeah.
And then, like, again, on the Wednesday, there's 6 games. But you got Tampa Bay, Florida, Chicago, St. Louis. Again, good games. You have Avs in Minnesota. You have, now the Hurricanes, Caps, that's not exactly a rivalry, but
But kind of, I guess,
The Twitter rivalry is pretty good sometimes. I have noticed that. The Twitter rivalry between the Caps and the Canes are pretty good. The New York game is good. The Jets and the Canucks. The Jets don't really have rivals. This is the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you have Dallas, Nashville. And these games aren't really super rivalry games to end it, but Boston, Columbus, whatever. And then Vegas, Arizona. I mean, if Arizona was good. Speaking of Arizona, actually, I totally forgot, even though I just said we were going to talk about this, but John Chayka just quit the Arizona Coyotes management team.
Interesting development on Sunday.
This has been developing for a while. I don't know if you've been watching hockey Twitter, you've kind of seen it. I know I have. But there was rumors that Taylor Hall sat down with management and the ownership about an extension and stuff like that, but Chayka wasn't part of the conversation. And that's kind of when it piqued my interest of well, why?
Yeah. What's going on there?
Well, it sounds like Chayka had a interview with someone. Nobody knows for sure. Brett, Mr. Producer Brett, has seen an article saying that it could be Buffalo that was eyeing up Chayka. But that being said, the NHL requires you to ask permission to talk to people that are currently employed in your organization. So the Arizona Coyotes said yes. The ownership said yes, that he could talk to whatever team actually talked to him. And then, now all of a sudden, they're surprised that he got a job offer, which is ridiculous in my opinion. I don't understand any of this.
It's a confusing situation.
But apparently, over the last 6 weeks, they've been trying to figure out how to keep John Chayka as the manager, the GM of the Arizona Coyotes till the end of this year's playoffs. Apparently, that's been going on for 6 weeks, and nothing happened, to the point where Chayka just up and quit today. Basically resigned his position, and the shade, if you want to call it that, from the Arizona Coyotes was quite impressive. For a professional, quote-unquote, statement. I don't know if I've ever seen this wordage before.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? Ottawa Senators. Just some of their shit.
Kinda. Yeah. I could definitely see old Eugene Melnick with one of these for sure. Yeah, I'll give you that. This is a little snippet of the statement from the Arizona Coyotes. This is straight from them, tweeted on their Twitter account. The club is disappointed in his actions and his timing, him being Chayka, as the Coyotes prepare to enter the NHL's hub city of Edmonton, where the team will be in postseason play for the first time since 2012. Chayka has chosen to quit on a strong and competitive team, a dedicated staff, and the Arizona Coyotes fans, the greatest fans in the NHL. End quote.
Sorry. Just had to.
Obviously, we can attest that that's not true. But just in a professional word to say that he quit and then name why your team was so good.
Yeah.
Is just very odd. Obviously they're butthurt and they're just chaved about it. And they're not happy. They're quite pissed.
I mean, you can't blame them necessarily.
Yeah, I can't either. But at the same time, you can, because you gave whatever team that offered Chayka a job,
you didn't help your own situation,
permission to talk to him. Mm-hmm. You could have said no.
Yeah. Yeah, straight up.
And I did see a comment yesterday, I believe, saying that Chayka's move would not be lateral. Like, it would not be a GM job to a GM job. But the thing with Buffalo is they had, their owner is the president. Now, he's not president of hockey operations, so in theory, you could give Chayka GM and president of hockey operations if you want. If you want to do that. But that if it is Buffalo, it's just one shithole to another. Right?
Pretty much.
I think we talked about how Eichel was already pissed off this summer. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast or not, but I know it's been a thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's been a thing for ever.
Well, right? And that team is just a perennial disaster, just like Arizona.
Well, he had, major comments in the offseason last year, did he not?
I think.
Of just, I'm tired of being on a losing team, blah, blah, blah,
Now, the difference for Chayka, though, is going from a team like Arizona where they don't have money to a team like Buffalo where the Pakulas, who own basically every sports team in Buffalo, and just spend money. Like, this is the other thing too, right? Now, Chayka just got an extension in Arizona. I think it was 4 years, or it was at least 3 after this season. So that's crazy that he would just dip. And it's also crazy to me that he would sign that extension and then go interview for another job as well.
Yeah.
But again, if it's a promotion, if it's a president of hockey ops job or something. I also saw people in the Hockey Podcast Network speculating that potentially it was an NFL gig. Just because how much advanced stats isn't really a part of football necessarily. Not as, I guess, I'm not saying hockey's ahead of the game by any stretch. It's baseball for sure is the advanced stats capital of sports. But having, I mean, if you jumped in the NFL in just an analytics form of mind, I mean, you could definitely make some money for sure. But I would assume he's staying in hockey until we hear otherwise for sure. But yeah, it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. But at the same time, going to somewhere like Buffalo where it's just been a shit show, and part of the reason it's been a shit show is because they've hired and fired so many coaches and GMs over the last 5, 6, 7 years. Mm-hmm. That's a tough situation to try and go fix.
Yeah, the timing couldn't have been any worse, probably.
Yeah, definitely not.
But yeah, it is what it is.
That being said, you brought it up before we started recording. Imagine Arizona wins the cup somehow, or like even goes on a good run.
Yeah.
Even to the actual second round of the playoffs, maybe even win the second round or something like.
Man, if they win a round, that's huge.
Yeah.
Like, how long has that been?
Yeah.
I don't think they won a round in 2012, did they?
Yeah, I think
did they?
So.
Yeah, they might have.
I think they did that year.
Regardless, that's still 8 years.
That's a while.
Of highly mediocre hockey.
That being said, also, can you blame a guy like Chayka from running away from the problems that he created with the Taylor Hall trade? I'm not saying that it's not saying it's the worst, but he did trade away for Taylor Hall and traded away a fair amount of prospects and a big package for Taylor Hall, who basically didn't produce.
Probably not at the level that they wanted, for sure.
Right. There's a reason that they were not in a playoff spot, and that was because the Taylor Hall trade didn't work.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, that's rough, for sure.
Yeah. For me, that's almost a go-figure situation.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wow, bringing in a star player to a new market didn't work out for you?
Weird.
When does that not happen?
Right? And then, Phil Kessel's trade didn't really work out either.
Yeah.
Right? That's a little more salary cap stuff, the reason that trade happened. But even then, right, that Phil Kessel's not been Phil Kessel since he's been in Arizona.
Yeah.
Right? So it's stuff like that. But at the same time, right, I don't understand why you go and pluck a guy like John Chayka out of an organization because he hasn't really proven to be good.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm not saying he hasn't made the Arizona Coyotes better. Not trying to say that. Yeah. But he hasn't made them into a contender by any stretch.
Like they pretend that they are,
I guess. Just said they are. A good club that finished 11th in the West.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I don't know.
Right? So I don't know. It's very odd to me. That to me makes the Buffalo rumor even more make sense. Makes sense even more. Good English. Because Buffalo is so good at just making the wrong choice.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I guess we'll see how it unfolds and all that good stuff later. But just a very interesting development from where it was yesterday on Saturday to where it was right before we recorded today. Because it was like John Chayka hadn't talked to anyone for a month. And then all of a sudden today he releases this statement right before we come on air. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, right when all the, teams are getting ready to go to Edmonton or Toronto. And
trying to think of the last GM to quit.
Yeah, man. I don't even know. It's been a long time.
And
obviously.
I'm not saying like step away after the contract ends. I mean straight up like I'm leaving money on the table. Leave.
Yeah.
That's
pretty interesting, man.
It's a rare one. So I don't know. We'll see. We kind of mentioned last week that THPN is going to start running like a weekly podcast advertisement or whatever you want to call it, little preview of like episodes or of the specific podcasts. This week's preview is of the boutique show. What is it? Oh, this is bad.
Fourth line voice.
I was like, fourth line. I can't think of the next word. This one's for the fourth line voice, a newer boutique show, I guess. It's he's been around since I think the new year, maybe even before, but definitely a good show. Hopefully you enjoy the clip. If you do, go give them a listen and give them a like, give them all that jazz on Apple Podcasts or whatever you do. But yeah, here you go.
Some enforcer-based podcasting coming at you. Brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network.
And now Semenko out in front of the goal, pounding away at Joe Kocher, who's down on the ice, holding the back of his head.
Actually what really surprised me, especially with Twitter being like Leaf Nation, was Grimson over Colton Orr. That voting really surprised me. I didn't think that would happen.
Don't forget to catch the Fourth Line Voice podcast wherever you find your podcasts, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.
Marc Bergevin. And everybody goes on and on with the whole PK thing and blah, and he hated him because he doesn't like fun and blah, blah, blah. I have heard from a few people that Marc Bergevin's hilarious.
No, this guy was a riot. Yeah, he would have to be at the bar and he's like, oh, I just had a penis colada. And the girls would like give a double take and be like, what? He's like, yeah, I had the penis colada, it's not bad,
Enforcer-based podcasting wherever you get podcasts from.
Across the Quarantine is back with our, semi-regular guest, Mike from A Clean Skate podcast. The THPN Dallas podcast. Firstly, good to talk to you, obviously.
Yeah, great to be back.
First thing, though, I want to thank the Dallas Stars because, as Alberta boys, it's really fun to watch the Oilers be 5th overall in the West and not be in the top 4 little round robin thing. Really nice to see the Dallas Stars push them out. It was really fun for us.
Yeah, and it was actually kind of weird. We finished with more regulation wins, which is why because they have more points than us. They finished with more points than the Stars. So it was by the skin of our teeth that we did it, but we did it.
Yeah, it was the points percentage, wasn't it? I think.
That's
what got them in there, but.
We're sitting at 0.59 for points percentage with 82 points, and they're sitting with 83 points at 0.585.
Yeah, it's amazing. I remember when all that came out, talking about it on the podcast while it was in the summertime break thing, whatever you want to call it, and just laughing at the fact that Oilers Twitter was just on fire because they were 5th. And
that's a fan base that likes to get rattled. It doesn't take much.
Oh man, they love to get rattled, but it just also leads to the fact that they're still in the running for the first overall pick, and nothing feels better than the Oilers being in the running for first overall.
So when does that die, though? Right? When does that? Because like New Jersey won 2 of the last 3, right? So when does that meme die?
In Alberta, probably fucking never.
I was gonna say. That's fair. That's a valid answer.
But I'd say for like the NHL, probably when they start doing stuff, like actually doing stuff. Like let's be serious. Draisaitl's winning the Hart, so they have easily 2 of the best 5 players in the league. Like, and I'm talking like all the time best. Like clearly right now it's 2 of the best in the league, like 1-2 right now. But like I'm talking probably for the foreseeable future, Draisaitl and McDavid will be in the top 5 for
it's going to be foreseeable future. It's going to be the Crosby-Malkin effect.
Yeah,
like,
right.
That's what it's going to be.
So until they start actually accomplishing something, Like, if they sweep the Blackhawks and then, win a couple of rounds, that's a good start.
Yeah, I'd say if they do some damage this year, they could eliminate
until they're
some
consistently not in the running for the first overall.
Yeah, exactly. Like, obviously this year's hilarious, and there's 16 teams that are in the running for first overall right now.
I guess they would have been second best Pacific team, I guess, this year. Maybe they could have been first. You never know.
Right.
But
There's a very good chance they were going to take first.
Yeah.
But it's just like, obviously there's 16 teams right now that are in the fight for first overall. But at the same time, it's just hilarious that it's the
To be
Edmonton
honest,
Oilers.
as soon as they announced like they were showing the ways the draft lottery could go, and they announced that like it could be someone that we don't know yet. Like as soon as that happened, I knew that's what was going to happen.
Right?
First. Yeah. Like as soon as they said, I was like, well. Right. And then they started drawing the numbers. I'm like, okay. And then they drew it right there for the first. Like it came down to it. I knew it. I knew before he even flipped the card that it was going to be TBD.
The thing is the fact that the math told you that it was going to be that too. Like the chance of it being a team that had to lose in the play-in round, they had like the second highest odds of being picked. And it's just like, well, there you go. Like that's going to happen. They were going to be top 3 for sure.
It's it's one of those things where I look at it and it's like, unless you like sort of like can understand what the hell we're all talking about, like how does someone that has never gotten into hockey before get into that? Like how do you look at that and try and explain that to someone who doesn't understand hockey?
A layman fan that doesn't even listen to podcasts or watches the hockey games only.
Yeah.
Is never going to be like, oh yeah, for sure, I get that. Yep.
Yeah.
That makes
It's
sense.
almost like explaining salary cap stuff to people too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which
there even rules sometimes, like just explaining it to people. Like my girlfriend has watched a lot of games recently this season, so I've been teaching her the rules and stuff like that. And I'll explain something. She's like, "Well, why does that happen?" I'm like, "It just does.
It just does."
Because it's written right here.
I played hockey from the age of 4, and I found out when I finished minor hockey at 18 that my mom still didn't know what icing was. Blew my goddamn mind.
You're like,
holy That's a common one. That's one that a lot of people still don't understand.
Like, you've been coming to the rink 3 times a week for 14 years. Every winter, and you still don't have that one down, eh? Okay.
That's funny.
All right.
But I'm glad to be here with you guys and finally just talk about hockey. Honestly, it just feels good to talk about it, not speculate and all that stuff. To talk about something that's actually going to happen. So that's
actually
exciting.
Previewing real games.
We're
coming
one week. We're exactly 1 week. This is Sunday recording. We're exactly 1 week away from a actual meaningful hockey game. Not a preseason or scrimmage like the NBA is calling it. That's very odd. Calling a 2-team scrimmage thing, it's just weirded me out. I don't know if you guys have watched any of that NBA stuff, but when they called it a scrimmage, it's like, no. Scrimmage is between your own team.
Yeah.
2 teams is not a scrimmage.
Yeah.
That's an exhibition game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're 1 week away from a hockey game that actually means something.
Yeah. Honestly, thank goodness. It's been too long, and I've needed it.
Yeah, I mean, like we've talked about that. Like this is literally longer than an off season at this point, is it not?
Pretty well.
Because it's March 9th. So what is that? April, May, June, July. That's 4 months, 4.5 months. Going to be pretty much 5 months. That's insane. It's crazy to think that we've been that long off. And we early on, a month in, we're like, holy shit, it's been 30 days without hockey, because we're groomed into the season, the depths of the season. And then now it's just man, this is normal life, last month I stopped, thinking completely about hockey, fuck.
Well, it got to the point where I played so much NHL 20, I just booted up my Xbox and looked at Austin Matthew there for a little bit and was like, no, man, I'm not going to do it, and just turn it back off.
I don't want to throw my controller at the wall today. I'm not going to play.
I looked at it, I was like, I need the real thing at this point. And honestly, it's coming just at the perfect time. We're still obviously in, this COVID pandemic. It is still a thing, at least where I am.
Yeah.
So So there's not much to do around here. So for me, especially with, the lack of work and stuff like that, then they drop that schedule that is, it's like a game from 10:30 in the morning till 6 at night. And it probably even later. Cause for me, it's going to be so much later cause I'm over on the East Coast.
Right.
So I'm going to be watching these games with no work, nothing to do. I'm just going to turn on TV and
hockey all day.
That's it.
14 hours of straight hockey, dude.
Yeah.
Which is great. And you think about a regular season night schedule, right? And you're like, okay, yeah, there's, maybe 10 games. But it's like a 5-hour period, not a 12-hour period.
I can only watch so many games. Not everybody has the setup that we have here where it's like a bar.
10 TVs.
Where you can actually watch 5 games at the same time. Most people can only watch one at a time and flip between maybe 2 or 3. So you're barely going to have to flip.
Yeah.
Well, the nice thing is right, because there's a lot of games that just timing-wise or stuff where I'm watching something, I'm watching the Stars game, so I'm not going to be really watching what else is on. I'm only flipping every now and then, but I'm focused on the Stars game. With this one I'm going to get to sit down and watch in entirety the Carolina Hurricanes take on the New York Rangers. I would never, when would I watch them? But I'm going to get to watch every minute of that whole series.
Yeah.
So I feel and I think it's going to help that, it's going to be on TV when people need sports right now. There's the viewerships, I bet, is going to be huge just across the board for all teams because people are just going to be sitting there being hockey's on all day, right? So you're going to have people in and out, which is, I think, is going to help the NHL. I think you're going to see a big boost, at least on the viewership.
Pro tip, if you have a wireless cable box, take that shit outside and sit on your porch and just watch hockey all day.
Have a beer and
real good.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Normally speaking, June here is watching the Cup final on Brett's patio. It's a great time. I can't wait to watch quote unquote the first round of the Cup playoffs outside because it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch 14 hours of hockey in one day.
So do you boys want to get into it then? You want to start talking about this hockey then?
Sure, yeah, why not?
Hell yeah.
We're really tantalating there with giving them. We're just brushing by it, but we'll start talking about it. So St. Louis comes in at number 1. We'll talk about us first. We get on to everyone else. Sure. St. Louis comes in at number 1. Obviously, it's not set because we're going to play this little thing. How do you guys see this seeding shake out? You see St. Louis still coming in at number 1?
Honestly, I feel like this is going to be such a freaking wild round robin here. I've been trying to go through scenarios of exactly asking myself that question. Is St. Louis going to, come out on top of this? And honestly, I think that literally any one of these top 4 teams in the West could seemingly pick up that first seed.
This is my problem with talking about these round robins. I know we want to talk about the West here for a sec, but if you look at the East, Boston has got to be your favorite for number 1. They should be number 1. They shouldn't even have to play these games to be number 1, in my opinion.
They were 8 points up on anyone?
Yeah. It wouldn't even come close
Yeah.
to surprise me if Boston somehow comes out of the gate slow and finishes 4th. Never mind the Western side, where basically the Blues, the Avs, and the Stars in the standings were already close. Never mind how the teams actually play each other, right? The Avs couldn't beat the Stars this year. But
so how many games do we play in this round robin? Do
3.
we just play each team once?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, potentially, right, if you look at it from the Stars' point of view, right, they're sitting at the bottom of this table, but every time they win a game, they've moved up a seed. Just one game like that.
Exactly, right? And in theory, you're 3-0 is going to win it, 2-1 is going to be second, 1-2, and 0-3.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a ton of money and tell you that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It ain't going to be easy. A team's not going to it's not going to be simple like that, right? Like a typical tournament style, right? There's going to be upsets. There's going to be the Blues start slow, they lose their first game, win the next 2. Oh, the Stars win their first 2, lose the last one, right? It's going to be like that for both sides of this. And it's so hard to pick because goaltending is so so up in the air with everybody.
And especially for a one game, one-off game, right? It's like anything could happen.
Like, so you obviously don't see it, but us in Canada, we have the Memorial Cup, which is this style. It's a 4-team tournament, round robin, and then you go to the finals, right? Or you go to the semis and the finals. But it's 3 games. It's basically single knockout against each team, right? It's basically that. It is the most ridiculous tournament because anything can happen because a goalie can go off for 2 games and take his team into the final, basically. And you're just like, right? And if for us, as Avs fans, right, we know how Ben Bishop absolutely just crushed the Avs this year. What if Ben Bishop's not on his game to start this round robin?
Well, I've been watching some of the things, and I've reading some of the things from the Athletic and stuff like that, watching some of the training camps, and it's very interesting because even like during training camp before the season, like Bishop just doesn't look good in practice. He honestly he just kind of looks like he's going through the motions at practice.
We had a guy in Colorado like that. His name was Semyon Varlamov.
So, but the thing is, so it doesn't take Bishop to get into that playing form. But the thing is like you're looking at it, and I'm watching. I'm like, this is the first time you've really been here for a month, and we're just going to Edmonton to do this thing.
One exhibition
you're
game.
going to be ready.
One exhibition game ain't going to cut it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I know, and they're planning on splitting Hudobin and Bishop time and stuff like that. So it's like one of those things. Like I don't know what kind of Bishop we're gonna get game 1 here.
And that's the thing. Like that's the thing with everybody. Like all 24 teams that are in this. But it's so much more, I guess it'll be at the forefront in the round robins the most. Because obviously with a best of 5 series, you can let 1 or 2 slip away. Obviously nobody wants to do that, but it could happen. Whereas you let two games slip away in the round robin, well, you're 1 and 2 at best, right? And again, at least it's not elimination games. But I've said it on our podcast a million times. I heard a theory, like a way of doing this prior to this format being announced, where the round robin games would have added to the season totals, and then that was how the seeds would have been determined. I like that because of teams like Boston who had that edge already. Like they earned the first seed. There is no question in my mind that Boston should be the number 1 seed. But at the same time, kind of the reason why, if you go back to when the Tampa Bay Lightning voted no to this format, was they didn't think that the round robin was going to be intense enough to get them ready for round 1 of the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, I honestly, you're saying that, and I'm thinking about it. I kind of like it because, like you're saying, it gives Boston like they don't have less room. They have less room to slip up.
Yeah,
they can't fall so hard because Boston, if they lose 2 games and they finish 4th seed, well, now you got to play potentially Pittsburgh or maybe Toronto in a first round playoff series.
I mean, Boston would love to play Toronto in the first round. But.
I mean, I think the hockey world at this point would love to see Boston play Toronto.
Yeah,
I think so.
I'm sure there's probably better options, but
they could be playing, as it stands right now, they'd be playing Columbus in the first round, and they would sleep their way through a 7-round series with Columbus.
Hey, that's what Tampa Bay thought.
True. True.
But right, like I get it. I get the concerns that Tampa Bay brought up before with the fact that clearly a best of 5 knockout series is more intense than a 3-game round robin for seeding. But at the same time, if you're a contending team, like all 8 teams in the round robin, you gotta figure out how to get yourself prepared in those 3 games. That is your job. If you're gonna contend for the cup, that's where you do it. You have to start it yourself. But I think to me, just aside from just getting your team into the round robin, I think there should have been some sort of bonus for teams that, like Boston, were just running away with it. Because
it was a lot tighter in the West. Like
just like Tampa Bay
just
like Tampa Bay did last year, right? Tampa Bay ran away with it, and that maybe screwed them against Columbus. Maybe that's what. Like, again, that this could be all for naught, right? If Boston just goes in there, wins 3 games, finishes first seed, who cares? This all doesn't matter. But, yeah, like you said, when it comes to the West, right, it was a shit show anyway. It wouldn't have really mattered. Like, maybe Dallas couldn't have been first seed if they won all 3 games, but they could at least been second seed if you add it to point totals, right? Whereas St. Louis maybe doesn't drop to 4th, maybe they only drop to 3rd. Vegas kind of the same thing, right?
Well, as a Stars fan looking at this, like, we're going into this playing with house money.
Yeah.
Like, the first 3 games, like, we could go 0-3. It would suck. I would hate that, and then I'd be super nervous going into the first round of the playoffs. But
hey,
but we could go 0-3, and nothing would change.
No damage
so
done.
This is entirely just a, hey guys, let's. So that also makes me a little less worried than about that Ben Bishop start, because Ben Bishop can go in and he can feel his way out. He might have some horrible games. Maybe that's what it takes. But
True.
But we have a little bit of runway here. Whereas like St. Louis, they're clinging to that spot. They don't want to drop. So this is just free games for the Stars at this point.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good way to look at it too. Philly is the same way, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I don't know how you could try and pick. Like, I can't even pick the best of 5s. Never mind the round robins, right? Like, it's such a crapshoot.
Yeah, and like it's not like you can go off like, oh, recency of play, right? It's like, oh, well, yeah, like last week, end of the season, they were, tearing it up. It's like we were even kind of talking about as like the Avs are going to be playing Minnesota in their exhibition game. Minnesota was playing really good hockey at the end of the season. Well, at the end of the season before the pause, and like they were playing some really good hockey for like the past, I don't know, month and a half.
Something like that.
But now it's like you can pretty much just go ahead and throw that all away, because like, where's the chemistry? That's going to be a big thing. Like all these lines that picked up chemistry, like Kevin Fiala. You think about Fiala and what he was doing at the end.
Yep.
What is he even going to have that anymore? It's such a toss up.
And then you look at their opponents, the Canucks. They were built on Markstrom being a stud.
Yeah.
That's why they were there. Well, what the hell? Who knows what that's going to be?
Yeah, and that goes for a lot of hot goalies, yeah.
So what do you guys expect, like, level of play wise? Like, do you expect to see like October style hockey, like fresh out of training camp style hockey? Like I think it'll be more intense. I think the intensity will be higher, but like
I feel like it's going to be
system wise.
I feel like it's going to be Christmas time hockey, just because the systems haven't really changed. I don't think necessarily the team. Obviously, the Avs are a bit of a question because of the fact that this is the first time they'll be healthy since October.
Yeah.
Maybe even November. Right? So that's the question, but the team knows what they do best and they've got everyone. So I think it's going to be better than October hockey. That being said, to the naked eye, it's going to feel a lot better than October hockey because it's going to be intense.
Hallelujah.
Right?
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, you'd think that, I don't know about these exhibition games. These exhibition games, I think, are going to be kind of, what's the word? I don't even know what I'm looking for. Like maybe finicky. Like there's gonna be some adjustments for sure. But I think once we get into the round robins, that intensity is gonna pick up. Now I don't know if like the skill and like I was talking about earlier, chemistry and everything's gonna be on that same level as like playoff hockey should be. But I think the intensity and the emotion will be there. So I think that those other two, like the finesse game and the skill game and the chemistry game will come a lot quicker. Mm-hmm. But I could see a little bit of a cold start. And especially like we're already talking about like what kind of, I guess intensity that we'll see out of these teams in the round robins. But, playing for those top seeds, I think will, give those teams an edge, or not an edge, but like a push to, perform better.
Again, not to beat a dead horse too, but like if all of a sudden you get a couple floaters that go in on these goalies too, it's going to completely change how the game feels.
Yeah.
Right? And fingers crossed for all. To be honest, I want every single goalie, all 24 starting goalies, to just be rock stars from the get-go here. But it's not that easy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, so what, Dallas plays on the 30th, so what's that, Wednesday?
No, Thursday.
No, that's Thursday.
Oh, Thursday. Is that literally their exhibition game? Is all the way on Thursday? Okay.
Yeah, same as the Avs.
Yep, we play the Preds.
Avs play on Wednesday.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was Thursday too.
But yeah, I mean, like those exhibition games are going to be interesting. But I don't know. I feel like there shouldn't be an issue with level of play, and like I feel like all these players are professionals, and it's kind of interesting to see some of those unfit to play kind of statuses out there.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just like unfortunate. But who knows what that's all, relevant to, and what why they got that status or whatever. But maybe, it's just you don't have the equipment, some of these players probably haven't been on the ice as like nearly as much as a lot of other players. It's going to be just interesting.
Because we've been dealing with the unfit to play stuff during camp, I haven't really thought this far ahead. But every year playoffs become the lower body or upper body injury, right? That's across the board. It's going to be even worse this year.
Yeah,
because
people are going to come in tight and they're going to pull something like that.
Unfit to play. Yeah. Everybody's going to be unfit to play, and you're just going to be like, Jesus Christ, man. Like,
yeah.
I saw him pull his hamstring, okay? Like,
yeah. It's going to be interesting, but I think also you guys were talking about it sort of like killed people's momentum. It also killed people's like downward momentum as well, right?
This is true.
Like from like a Stars perspective, right? The Ben and Sagan weren't really having that great of an offensive year.
Mm-hmm.
So
that could change.
Hope, right? I mean, I hope that they took this break. They're able to look at it. They've watched some film, and they come back and they blow it out of the water, and they're the Ben and Sagan of old.
Well, I mean,
right?
yeah,
that's what I hope for. And the thing about this break is like it's a mystery box. I got no clue what Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn, Dallas Stars we're gonna see.
Well, and I feel like you're right about that. Like it's a clean slate, right? Like
a clean skate
slate. Yeah, but yeah, like I feel like there's a lot. Like of course there's a lot of attention, but there's like a major opportunity for a lot of players, and I mean teams in general, but like players like Ben and Sagan, like you said, struggled all year a little bit. They weren't quite the Ben and Sagan that we're used to. They have this huge opportunity right now. If they perform well, I think all of their whole shitty season that they had is going to be overlooked. Like this, there's some major like even contract implications that are going to go into this like these games coming up. Like like different play, like even like I was thinking, there's been lots of talk on like Avs Twitter and all that about just like the Avs defense going forward, and lots of talk about Big Z, Zadorov. He struggled. He had a not a very good year. He had glimpses of good games and defensive games, shutdown games.
November was the best season of his career, and then it went so
and then it went to the
downhill.
worst, right? So like if he plays really well and he plays that shutdown role that we've seen him succeed in, that's like a major thinking point for the Avs going forward, right? Because I think he's up his contract after next season.
I believe so.
So that's a big stepping stone into next season, which if he continues, like if he gets some good momentum and some good play in this season, it goes for like Ben and Sagan too. Like the next season they can build off that, but it's like, it's big. And I think it's like more magnified this year because there's going to be so many question marks about players performing. And
do you think GMs will give leeway to players that don't perform now? Because people can come out of this and be like, hey, listen, but it was the pandemic.
It was weird. It's not his fault.
Yeah, like
right.
It's not like right. So do you think that'll happen as well then?
I don't think there will be leeway if you're performing bad. Like I feel like that's going to be a thing that's going to come down to, well, you're a professional. You got to be ready when you're called upon. I could just see that just because that's the way business is in the NHL.
I feel bad for everybody that's not that's on an expiring deal. Regardless of situation, whether it's
that's
RFA,
even so much more pressure.
RFA,
right?
UFA, doesn't matter. I feel bad for anyone because, like like Jared said, I agree. I don't think there's going to be any. Oh, I mean, shit happens. Like we'll get them next year, kind of thing, right? Like for the Avs, it's pretty clear they were Cup contenders. I think on nights the Stars were too, right? But if you throw away this Cup chance because you weren't ready, quote unquote, it's unforgivable to a point, right? Obviously for the Avs, it's the start of the window, not the end. But if you're near the end of your window and you're just going to throw it away, that's rough.
So then looking at the Avs, how are you guys feeling going into this?
Oh,
really good.
Outrageously confident.
Oh, all right. I like it.
Basically, Tyler kind of alluded to earlier, we have not had a healthy roster in I don't even know when.
You guys are one of the big teams that are benefiting from this, from the amount of healthy people that are coming back.
Yeah, and then we've kind of talked about St. Louis as well, getting Tarasenko, which is a huge piece of that team, as we all know, back. Yeah. And, he wasn't even there the whole damn year.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, for us, having that entire roster healthy, we went through so many different stages of what the hell was our first line because everyone's just getting injured. And in practice, they were running Burakovsky on that top line, which at the start of the season wasn't even thought of, right? But now we went through having Landeskog, McKinnon down, Rantanen down, and Burakovsky jumping up to that first line and playing pretty much MVP of the team for times there, and sniping goals off, and this guy's just going on a hot streak. So it's interesting to mix him in there. Getting all that confidence, which who knows if that's still there, hopefully, right? After this much time, who the hell knows? But, having that and, Nishushkin just popped off, right?
And, Nemestikov, too.
Right, Nemestikov comes in from Ottawa and starts playing really good hockey,
you guys got him at the deadline, right? Yeah, so you only saw, 9 games with him or something like that?
Something like that.
That was enough. He was, and he's been flying at practice apparently.
And
too,
he's he's a player that you can tell is kind of built for that playoff style hockey, right? Bigger boy, not afraid to get in the dirty areas. So I think there's so many positives.
He's also a big part because your guys' penalty kill wasn't very good. Isn't he a big part of that penalty kill? Isn't that why you guys signed him? At least that's what I thought,
pretty
right?
Much.
So,
oh man, this penalty kill. I remember, I've said it. It felt like they got scored on every other time. It felt like it. It felt like, and nights there were definitely 50% nights. That's for sure. But that's another one of those things, right? Like you said, the momentum, right? It doesn't matter what your stats were on your power play, your penalty kill, all that shit beforehand. It doesn't matter game to game anyway, but you can feel it, right? Now it doesn't matter. Now, man, this penalty kill could be 100%, and I will be stoked, right? But again, it's just the other thing for me too, and why I'm so confident is because the Avs are not built as a goaltending heavy team. So if the goaltending struggles, they've dealt with that. Not that they've had bad goaltending this year, but it's not Ben Bishop style or Binnington style where
you're not so reliant on your goalie to keep you through the game. That they can let in a squeaker and you can get it back.
So that's part of why I'm confident too, is not necessarily holding my breath on Grubauer coming and being Bishop 2.0 or something. I expect Grubauer to be his average Grubauer self, and I expect Frankie, if called upon, to be his average Frankie self too. So.
And I think that's another thing, and it's so hard to rely on, the end of the season play because we kind of talked about earlier, who the hell knows what's going to happen, right? But I think a big thing going towards kind of that goaltending, topic that you're just talking about with the Avs is that our defense really started to, our team defense really started to get locked down. Midway through the season, we were blowing a lot of leads in the third period, right? I don't know how many games we freaking fucked off because we couldn't lock down a game that we played amazing for 55 minutes, and then we let in 3 goals or 2 goals in the last 5 minutes of the game. But that stopped happening.
Yep.
And once we got leads, we were holding leads and playing really good shutdown. Now that's, 5 months ago now. So who knows what's going to happen now. But I feel like that's a really good sign as well to, that's what we need in playoffs. You can't blow leads in playoffs. Because if a team takes a late lead coming back in a game, that momentum is not getting shut down.
No.
If you're in a series with St. Louis and they take a late lead, they're not giving that up.
Especially without having a crowd behind you too.
That too, yep. And no home ice advantage whatsoever. It's you can't feed off any energy that the fans are giving you, whether that's even negative too, right?
That I think is one of the things that's going to be a real question.
It's been interesting. I've been watching a lot of the Premier League, and they haven't had any fans as well.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's been interesting because they obviously still travel. They still play in the other team's stadiums. It's just with no fans. So it's a little different still. There is still that home field advantage. But it's interesting to watch, like, away teams. Normally you'd walk in there and in an away stadium, you're banging a free kick high and wide because the crowd's screaming, it's loud. But now there's guys that they walk in and they're just putting just beautiful, beautiful free kicks up and over the wall and stuff like that.
No
But
pressure.
They would never do that, right? They're just walking up casual. Just it's a training session for some of these guys. But then on the flip side of that, you got the guys that need that roar of the crowd to, get them into a game, and they're just like completely off a step. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, who like, because, everyone's like, oh, playing in Toronto is so hard and stuff like that. All right, you don't have any fans in the building. There's no more, Bronx claps or anything like that. When you blow a lead or anything like that, there's no, the media is not in your face as much during games anymore. So it's going to be interesting. Like, this is your chance to prove that the media is what's doing it to you.
The one that I think, like, that stands out in my head the most is Nashville. And what's going to happen with Nashville? Because their crowd is ridiculous. Not that I think, I don't think that bugs goalies. I don't think that bugs players. But it's just something to think about. Because they hear it. Like, there's no question they don't hear that.
And that rink,
how can you not? It rattles my TV when they do that.
Right? So it's just like, it's teams like that. Again, it's not like football. Like, football, the home ice advantage is a real thing because you can make it so teams can't hear themselves. Hockey's not really that, right? You don't really have to deal with things like that. So I don't think home ice in the quote-unquote, like, advantage department really adds up to much in the NHL. But it's still the momentum swings. Like, if your fan base is into a game and all of a sudden that away team just silences the crowd, that is huge, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you make a good point because it's like – that's definitely something into psychology of every freaking player too, right? And it's like how they react to crowds, whether it's negatively or positively. Yeah, that's going to be interesting because maybe there's different players that are going to step up in this situation because there's just it's so much more of a calm atmosphere when it comes to fans and everything. Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
I'm just worried how are defensemen going to know when to shoot, The crowd's not going to be out. Shoot.
Never mind just defensemen, power plays too.
How are they going to know to put the puck on net without that?
So I guess, going back the other way, how are you feeling about the Dallas Stars going in this? You kind of already mentioned, like this is kind of playing with house money, and that's like a really good way to put it. How are you feeling about the team going in?
Yeah, so I mean, I can be nonchalant and be like, it doesn't matter. We can lose all three, but you know that if we lose all three, I'm gonna be going into the first round
shitting your pants.
Like, oh, it's horribly. Just it's gonna be the worst. So I definitely hope they don't sleep through this and get walked all over because, and I think back to the beginning of even this regular season, right? We sort of walked into it kind of casually and got our face caved in those first 10 games.
Right.
So I'm hoping that, that this break, like I said, gave Ben and Perry and Sagan and some of those guys that were struggling, the chance to get over whatever that was in their mind. They were able to, spend time with their family, hug their kids, they get whatever they had on their shoulders off and they can come back with a fresh attitude and kill it. But like you guys said, I don't know. So it's weird because we're the 4th seed, so we can only go up. But how do I feel going in? I don't know. I think goaltending is not going to be an issue. I said I was a little worried about Bishop, but he's just one of those guys. If anything, I'm more worried about Bishop staying healthy because even when he was with like the Lightning, it seemed like he's game 1 of the playoffs. Broken hand.
Right.
4 days before the playoffs started, broken knee. Like when they needed him most, he was the avatar. He vanished.
Yeah.
So like I'm also not worried because we got Hudobin in net. I think our defense and like some of those guys that were running really hard. I think Heiskanen who we run him and Klingberg and Lundell into the ground. Like they do so much for us. I think that the rest will help them, and I don't think they're players that they'll really get in their head like that. They're just I don't know. I feel like the breaks won't affect them very much. I'm more worried and interested to see how it will help things offensively, because again, we weren't setting any records for the amount of goals we were scoring, and
it can't hurt it.
Yeah, exactly. They've looked good in training. They've definitely, I mean, obviously training is training, but some of the big thing I noticed from watching some of the training videos and stuff like that is they've been having their defense join the rush a lot more, which I know Heiskanen and Klingberg were already doing, but it's much more of a 4-man unit instead of like a quarterback. Heiskanen's going to skate the thing in and more of a unit. So listen, it's nothing to write home about, but I'm hoping we can come out of this firing.
Yeah. I mean, those young defensemen on Dallas, like kind of similar, prospects, I guess you could call them, coming up between, Avs and Dallas on the back end, like Klingberg and Heiskanen, man. Like I had both those guys in my pool, man, because I knew that these guys are special players, and like
they're each playing 25 minutes. They're going to block shots. They're going to both be on the power play. Like you can't, they're perfect. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I think you're right about goaltending too. Like it's Bishop, man. I'm sure he's going to perform, and yeah, like you said, hopefully he does stay healthy. And I think that is probably going to be a concern of like a lot of Stars fans like yourself. Mm-hmm. It's like, can he stay healthy? But also, like you said, you do have Khudobin, and that guy played pretty damn good over like the last 2 seasons when he's been called upon. So
yeah, I think there's a lot more top-heavy teams than bottom-heavy teams in this league. But we are definitely one of the bottom-heavy. Like if we are the inverted pyramid, and that bottom pillar is our goaltending, and if that thing chips, like we've got good defense, but I don't want to see Landon Bow in net. So, it's going to be interesting. But Bishop held up through all of last season's playoffs, and there were some grinds and some battles, especially in that St. Louis series.
Yeah.
So he held up through that, and he got a bit more of a break here as well to, get over anything that might've been nagging him, anything bruised or anything like that. So I'm hoping he comes into this fresh, feeling good and relaxed, and he can just come in and do his thing. And if Bishop can come in and do his thing, we're home free. Like we're on pretty steady sailing most nights.
Goaltending of Bishop's elite level when he's on his game, it could definitely win series. So
he's a cheat code when he's on.
Yep.
Well, yeah, Bishop steals us 1 game in this, and we jump up to 3rd seeding.
Yep.
Like that's all we need is he steals 1 game in a best of 3 or best of 5 series. Like it's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's been like 40 minutes as usual. So
boom, book it.
It's been a pleasure. I don't know if you have anything else, but
oh no, dude, I'm shaking. Like this has been amazing. I'm so hyped for this hockey to come back, and
hell yeah, man.
I'm so excited.
1 week.
My birthday is this Wednesday, so this was like a birthday. They dropped the schedule, and I was like,
"You're like, wait,
happy birthday, happy birthday to me."
Hell yes, dude. Yep, that's gonna be a good birthday. Just chilling, watching hockey all day. Hell
watching hockey.
Well,
that's all I could ask for.
Good luck to the Stars, but not too much good luck, I guess.
As per usual.
Maybe on the 5th, maybe the Stars don't do so hot, and we'll be happy.
Well, best of luck to you, gentlemen, and either way, we'll have to come back on it and break down the series
for sure, man.
Maybe we'll talk to you in a couple weeks after that game.
Yes.
Well, thanks for coming on, and we will talk to you later.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you again to Mike. Was a blast as usual. Nice to talk to a host for the first time in fucking 3 months or something.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Who even knows what is time anymore?
Yeah,
seriously,
I don't know. Time just all of a sudden it's like Friday, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
Wait, what day is it?
It's like, oh, my wife didn't have to go to work today. I guess it's not Monday to Friday. All right. Well, like, I helped my brother move on Friday too. So that just shot my weekend too. Super fun. Anyway, right before we go, the return to play rosters just got announced for the Avs.
Good timing.
Very good timing. Not a bunch of crazy surprises, obviously, because that don't have to be like freaking ranting and not coming or something.
Yeah, right.
A crazy surprise. But it's nice to see Bowen Byram on the list. Connor Timmins is on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. I don't think it's crazy surprising. They're only bringing 3 goalies. Grubauer, Hutchinson, and Frankie. I'm also not surprised they're bringing Hutchinson because they traded for him.
Yeah, and I feel,
just noticed that Sheldon Dries is in the list for the forwards and no Kamenev.
Yeah.
Which...
It's interesting.
That's interesting, too, because I would have expected Kamenev to be in because he was a pretty good fill-in guy.
Yeah,
maybe he just didn't have a very good camp or pre-camp or whatever you want to call it. And
it could be something along those lines for sure because, it's not like he hurt the team.
Yeah.
Whereas, earlier in the season, Sheldon Dries did pop in there, and to me, he did not look great.
He did not do the stuff very good.
It's interesting. Knock on wood, we even have to use him. Hopefully not.
Again, that also being said, this 31 or 30 guys I did not count because that's a 31. Lot of counting. This isn't the only guys they can use here.
Yeah.
There's still, as long as the players stay in the bubble or whatever and have no coronavirus positive tests, they can still go to Edmonton eventually. It's just a case on whether that actually happens or not, depending on how long the Avs go. Hopefully it's a long run.
Hell yeah.
But again, your everyday roster is 21 guys, so hopefully you don't need any more than the 30 that are coming.
Yeah.
Right, that's got to be a lot of injuries if that happens, and we're past that, right, Avs?
We don't need no Colorado ambulance coming back, okay? We're done with that saga, okay?
Yeah,
it's over.
So
the era of the ambulance is over.
I believe the boys fly out today, on Sunday.
I would assume, yes.
So, it's going to be... We're almost there.
It's coming, baby.
Couple days.
Yeah.
Please, for the love of Pete.
It's exciting, man, and we kind of, I guess we kind of brushed over a little bit of the lines that were showing up in practice, but it's just getting me excited. And even I was just looking at that fourth line, and it was Calvert, Nieto, and Belmar. And it's just like, I can't wait to even see that. Like, I'm excited to see every one of these players, and that just reminded me of just how solid that fourth line was for us.
That fourth, that's a third line on a lot of teams.
Yeah, and they grind it out, and they're not afraid. Like Calvert, what a beauty Calvert was all year, eh? Like, just dropping the mitts with guys that are freaking 2 feet taller than him. That guy is fearless, blocking shots with his face. Oh man, and Belmar, what a beauty. That was a great pickup. Just another little highlight of what Sakic has done, and it's looking good. It's looking good, boys and girls.
Just think about how long ago. Remember, this was the year when we fucking screamed and yelled at a referee for not blowing a whistle. And that's not even that long ago. That's not even early in the season. That was Calvert Christmas time.
Yeah, it feels like forever ago.
It feels
right?
It feels like a season ago.
Yeah, for sure.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're almost there. They just landed. Oh,
there we go, baby.
Says Brett. That's very exciting.
Yeah, it's
time.
It's begun. So yeah, Tuesday.
You know what they need? They need some Bruce Buffer to start this off. The moment you've all been waiting for.
Oh, man, I've been missing him the last few UFC events. We haven't had no Buffer, man.
No. He's too expensive.
Hell yeah, you should... I think the next fights are coming up in Vegas, right?
Yeah. The next, month is in Vegas.
I'm sure, Bruce will be there.
Yeah.
Just... damn it! Yeah,
we'll just fly
send him up to Toronto.
Yeah, we'll just fly him to Edmonton. Screw that.
Yeah.
No, they don't. The East doesn't need that shit.
Get out of here.
Prissy over there. But yeah, so hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks for tuning in, and
you
Hopefully, we see you on a successful Sunday evening.
Yes.
The biggest thing you can do to support us is by going to iTunes or Apple Podcasts and giving us a 5-star rating. Also, if you're looking to donate to the network, visit the Hockey Podcast Network's Patreon page. All donations go straight to the podcast host. Thanks, and see you next episode.
You're listening to the Hockey Podcast Network on Twitter @HockeyPodNet. New episodes every Monday and Thursday. Download at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com or wherever you get your podcasts from.